break free from limited perspectives. My allegory is often interpreted as a commentary on the role of education, human development, and the importance of critical thinking and open-mindedness. It also highlights the idea that reality can be distorted by one's perception, and that a person's worldview can be expanded or limited by experiences and understanding. My allegory of the cave is a metaphorical story that explores the nature of human perception and knowledge. In my allegory, a group of people are depicted as prisoners who have been chained up inside a cave since birth, facing a wall so they can only see shadows of objects passing by. They believe that these shadows are the only reality and have no knowledge of the outside world. One day, one of the prisoners is freed and forced to leave the cave. As they emerge into the sunlight, they're initially blinded, but gradually begin to see the real world, the objects that have previously only cast shadows. They realize that their previous understanding of reality was limited and incomplete. The freed prisoner returns to the cave to tell others what they have seen, but the other prisoners do not believe them and even consider them insane. My allegory suggests that those who have not experienced enlightenment cannot comprehend what it means to see beyond the shadows, and that it takes effort to break free from limited perspective. The prisoners believe that all they see is reality, even though reality is obviously not just pictures on a wall. What they see is the reality, because that's all they ever know.
I lived in Master Hugh's family about 7 years. During this time, I succeeded in learning to read and write. In accomplishing this, I was compelled to resort to various stratagems. I had no regular teacher. My mistress, who had kindly commenced to instruct me, had, in compliance with the advice and direction of her husband, not only ceased to instruct, but had set her face against my being instructed by anyone else. The plan which I adopted, and the one by which I was most successful, was that of making friends of all the little white boys whom I met in the street. As many of these as I could, I converted into teachers. With their kindly aid, obtained at different times and in different places, I finally succeeded in learning to read. When I was sent a set of errands, I always took my book with me, and by going one part of my errand quickly, I found time to get a lesson before my return. I used to also carry bread with me, enough of which was always in the house, and to which I was always welcome, for I was much better off in this regard than many of the poor white children in our neighborhood. This bread I used to bestow upon the hungry little urchins, who, in return, would give me that more valuable bread of knowledge.
Hello, one ticket, please. Yep, here is my ticket.
Welcome aboard.
My friends, I have come to tell you something about slavery, what I know of it, as I have felt it. But when I came north, I was astonished to find that the abolitionists knew so much about it. They were acquainted with its deadly effects as well as if they had lived in its midst. But, though they can give you its history, though they can depict its horrors, they cannot speak as I can from experience. They cannot refer you to a back covered with scars, as I can, for I have felt these wounds, I have suffered under the lash without the power of resisting. Yes, my blood has sprung out as the lash embedded itself in my flesh, and yet my master has the reputation of being a pious man and a good Christian.
In the narrative life of Frederick Douglass and the allegory of the cave, the theme of ignorance is explored, and the effects of ignorance on individuals and society. In the allegory of the cave, Socrates argues that people can be trapped in a state of ignorance and must be shown the truth to be able to free themselves. In the narrative life of Frederick Douglass, Douglass describes how slavery kept people in a state of ignorance and prevented them from learning and advancing.
Both Frederick Douglass and Plato's texts look at the themes of education and how they impact the human mind, and how also education is a liberating force that can help overcome ignorance and achieve freedom. In Allegory of the Cave, education and the gaining of knowledge are the key to liberation from the darkness or inside of the cave of ignorance. In the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass explores how him learning to read gave him the tools necessary to escape from slavery and get his freedom.